We're about to welcome our esteemed panel.
And first, we have, and you can just raise your hand. Miss Malloy, you don't, you're lady. But first we have Miss Nadine Malloy, JP, a two-time graduate of the University of the West Indies, Mona. Miss Malloy has additional graduate qualification from the Andrews University, Berrien Springs, Michigan, in secondary education administration. She is a proud past student of the Marymount High School for Girls in Highgate, St. Mary. Ms. Malloy obtained her teacher qualification from the Church Teachers College in Mandeville, Manchester. She was a two-term president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools and also LASCO MOEY Principal of the Year 2019 to 2010. A service and community-minded individual, Ms. Malloy has served and continues to serve on national boards. She is responsible for returning to Jamaica, the first full copy of the Marcus Garvey trial documents, while she served on the Jamaica National Heritage Trust Board, an institution of Jamaica Council. She is currently a director of the Gleaner Media Company Limited, the Barbados-based CXC charity, and the Jamaica Publishing House Limited.
Sheldon Powell. Sheldon, a serial entrepreneur with many successful businesses to his credit. He is currently the founder and CEO of Innovate 10X, a leading digital transformation firm based in Jamaica. As the former Group Chief Information Officer of Jamaica Money Market Brokers, JMMB, Sheldon has over 2 decades in his position as head of the technology unit. He is also a member of the board of directors of eGov Jamaica Limited, the government of Jamaica's IT services agency.
Then we have Mr. Glenroy Williams. Glenroy is an ICT professional and attorney at law. He is currently the Director of Information Technology and the Bank of Jamaica, where he has served for the past 24 years. He holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and electronics from the University of the West Indies and a master's in business administration from the Mona School of Business. He also holds a Bachelor of Laws from the University of London and a certificate in legal education from the Norman Manley Law School. A man with strong sense of civic duty and leadership, Glenroy is a past president of the Bank of Jamaica Staff Cooperative Credit Union, past president of the Rotary Club of St. Andrew, past first vice president of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association, and a commissioned Justice of the Peace in the parish of St. Andrew since 2017. He is also a past master of the Legally Lodge, number 1479 SC.
Dane Nicholson. Dane is highly experienced in fraud prevention management. He's currently the head of fraud prevention at the National Commercial Bank, where oversees all fraud prevention, oversees all fraud prevention and investigation activities for the NCB. He holds a Master's of Science in Accounting from the University of the West Indies and is also an associate member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. He is the chairman of the Jamaica Bankers Association's Anti-Fraud Committee.
Brother Jamal Watts. Brother Jamal Watts was initiated into Freemasonry in Albion Lodge 196 ER on the 3rd of May 2017. Albion Lodge 196 ER is the oldest English lodge in the Caribbean. They are also an Athol ancient lodge. The lodge is designated ER, which indicates Elizabeth Regina, Latin for the Queen. Albion was formed before the UGLE was constituted in 1813. The designation remained rather than the adoption of English Constitution. Brother Jamal Watts is currently the Worshipful Junior Warden of Atlantic Penis Lodge, number 224, English Constitution, which is the oldest lodge in Bermuda that was granted its charter on August 9, 1797. Brother Jamal Watts is as well traveled Mason, having visited numerous lodges in Trinidad, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Japan, Denmark, the UK, Bermuda, and the Bahamas. His experience will provide great insight into the future of this illustrious craft.
And we want to apologize for the absence of
Mr. Dushan Savadia. He is unabidedly absent.
So we begin with our 10-minute presentations with our panel. So we will start with Ms. Malloy.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Miss Moderator. I'd like to acknowledge all the grand and master persons who are here. No disrespect, forgive me, I am not going to remember all of that. So I greet everyone well with all the due protocols that you are deserving of. I greet my fellow panelists as well. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I want to thank my friend to my right. I'm not sure if I'm really thanking him seriously though, because he told me I had no option, I had to do this presentation. But I thank him for the opportunity, because one of the things I have found over the years is that as I do these presentations, new thoughts come to me. As people ask me questions and I struggle to answer them sometimes, it sends me back to the drawing board and gives me an opportunity to do a better job and to lead in a little better way the next time around. So I want to start by sharing with you how we are looking at artificial intelligence at Arden High School. And I dare say, in conversation with many of my colleague principals, some of what they're thinking about as well. I also come with a background as a teacher librarian, and I got into librarianship just as technology was beginning to get into librarianship. Before it was just doing all those Dewey Decimal things that I don't think I remember now. It was a lot more difficult to get into the stacks and find things and so on. So I got into librarianship at that stage, and so I started out as a librarian being very, very interested in what happens with the technology and how technology can be used in a school. So it started for me setting up a library, or two libraries as a matter of fact, one at Buff Bay High School and more recently in the last 10 years, one at Arden High School that I think remains the premier library in a secondary institution in Jamaica. Of course, to do that, I had to have some cash to care, and the persons who were willing to walk that walk with us. Now, AI is nothing new, as you heard. It has been used for a very long time. Almost every time over the years that you have gone onto the internet to do some research, you're using AI. Yes, it's always been there. I remember a few years ago there was a RJR group retreat, and in that retreat we were presented with an article written by artificial intelligence and one written by a reporter. And it was split down the room with persons saying which one was written by artificial intelligence and which one was written by the reporter, and most of us were wrong. That's how accurate it is and how long it has been around. Haven't you ever wondered why it is that something happens, God forbid somebody important dies, and in 2 minutes there's a perfect bio article on the person online? That's artificial intelligence. So it has been really with us for a long time. The question, we looked at our management retreat, our presentation was entitled, generative artificial intelligence, new dimensions in teaching, learning, and assessment. We tend to forget assessment when we think of education. So we were tasked with the responsibility now as a school that has fully embraced technology. Some of you would know that COVID closed the schools in March 13, I think it was, a Thursday, and Friday the 14th, Arden was fully online with teaching, learning, and assessment. It came with quite a bit of a preparation, understanding that technology, ICT, was now the main driver of communication, production, and anything else you want to think of in the various industries. And I posited to our teachers and parents, and I had the students on my side, even though they wanted to take the technology where I didn't want it to go in some instances, that this is what we needed to embrace, because this is how we were going to have maximum engagement with our students. It took a little while, but by the time COVID came, we were far enough down the wicket to be able to integrate, and to start teaching. The only challenge we had at that point in time was a few students did not have devices, and there was some connectivity issue. So we are at artificial intelligence now. We know that we can do all the online stuff. The teachers know how to teach. The students know how to cheat on exams and all of that in the online space. So is artificial intelligence a friend or a foe? And that is what we were looking at. I won't go through what artificial intelligence is, because you already know that. It allows machines to model and even improve upon our capabilities of the human mind, our own capabilities. Now, some people don't seem to realize this. Robots, artificial intelligence tools, whether it is for photography, whether it is for math, whether it's for the sciences, it is programmed. It cannot think on its own, okay? It's programmed. So, and many of us who are using ChatGPT and all the others do not realize that we are contributing to the programming. We are, because it is learning what we are asking it, and a lot of times it really just gives you back what you put in, just in a different way. My paper is sticking together, okay. So, friend. How is it a friend in education? Engagement is one of the first things that we can think of. Our young people, and we have a lot of younger teachers in the system now because of migration, they are more engaged when they're using the technology. We know that we can generate a lot of resources because we can upload things to the AI platforms. When you ask questions of it, it goes off and does the people who do the programming, as I understand it, they go off and they do the research, and before you know it, you can get that information. When we are doing things like creating lesson plans, and this afternoon we just went through a long, well not that long, we went through an exercise where we showed our teachers, demonstrated to our teachers how you can use AI to plan lessons. The next step we're going to be looking at is how we're going to be showing and guiding our students how to use AI in an ethical way. There are administrative tasks that we can use it for. There's grading and feedback. Not so much with the extended writing exercises, but with the more short answer type questions. The feedback is instant. I remember the first time we used the technology to have our students do tests. They were just simply amazed. They didn't need to wait on us to get the feedback for how well or not so well they had done. There is language learning and practice. But we have to be careful with the language learning and practice one, because the version of languages that we use in this region may not necessarily be the one that they are accessing. So we have found that when our students go to do the oral exams in particular, they have challenges because the pronunciation is different. Of course, they also go on and they try to do translation. And you know, when you do Google Translate, it's a word-for-word translation, and sometimes it can be quite hilarious and ridiculous. when I'm talking to my young men, I usually say to them, be careful you try to lyrics a girl in a foreign language, you know, because you might be telling her that she's ugly one, you want to tell her, you tell her that she's pretty. So you have to find ways in which to engage them so they understand what is happening. Okay, continuing, creativity and exploration. The students, you can have situations where the students do their own essays. I had my own experience with it, their own outline. They could go to ChatGPT or any other one that they're using. ChatGPT is going to become like Jerry Curl now. It's going to become generic. You go to the AI and you can ask for it to give you an outline, to give you information, and then you do the comparison. One of the things, what I share with the students and share with our younger teachers is that in this scenario, you better have your knowledge base. Because if you don't have your knowledge base, you're going to end up like two lawyers to the north of us who got into problems. Students have different learning styles. Some people learn when they go and they write. Some people learn when they read from a book. I have this presentation in about 4 places. If my papers had fallen and got wet, I would go to my phone, and hopefully if my phone had died, I could have gone back to my paper. So, and I'm finding that there are students who are saying, we prefer to type our exams. But then there are those who are saying, we prefer to write our exams. We ended up not being able to do the long paper exams at CXC this year. We do all our exams at Arden online. They're all typed. And a student came to me and said, Miss, can you record a message for me to send to the registrar at CXC? And it was a scorching message to tell the registrar how backward it was that we were not given the provision to do the long paper. So different learning styles, different ways of engagement, personalized learning. They can go off and individually do things that they don't necessarily want to or need to do in a group. Another advantage is the availability of the information. At any time of the day, you get up, if you're connected, you can definitely be able to access information. Moving along quickly, how could it be a foe? There are disadvantages to AI in education. We are very aware of that. Accuracy and misinformation. I had the opportunity to check it out recently. I actually was joking that I was going to ask ChatGPT to write a speech for me. And after I said it, I was kind of like, yeah, why not? So I had outlined the speech already, and I went to ChatGPT to ask, put in my topic, and I got a nice, perfect outline. Very similar to mine, maybe 1 or 2 more points. Then it was supposed to be about 45 minutes, so I needed to fill out the speech. So I started asking for specifics. Okay, then, if I did not know or have a basic knowledge what I wanted to say, what I needed to have to present, and I decided to go ahead and do it with ChatGPT alone, I would have been in problems. I'd have embarrassed myself in front of an international audience. Some of our students learned that the hard way before exams. Those are the ones doing the external exams because they did the mock exams. Some of our internal exam students now, well, actually, I must tell you, I enjoy my job, and I find fun in every part of it. I actually was laughing at some of them because they were doing the exams, and they found a way to highlight a word, right-click on it, go to DuckDuckGo, which is a search engine, and open that search engine, and open an AI tool for the particular subject, and typed in the question, got the AI answer, and cut and paste it into the exam. So we were watching them in the V-space. So we saw what they were doing. Of course, their poor parents were shocked. I know that my students are smart, so I wasn't shocked. We had the first time we were going to do these e-tests, we had students hack into it. And we didn't bother to say anything to them. They wanted to go into the exams, so we just shut down everything. We think we did it for 24 hours, rebooted and came back. And I'm sure the person was walking around very nervous, wondering if I found out who it was. But it's all right. Then you have an overdependency on technology, which again leads back to misinformation. They are depending too much on the technology, and some of them are becoming addicted. Addicted to the point where when you try to take the technology from them, it's a meltdown, and that's not good. That's on the downside. Data privacy and security. I'm not sure if you are aware, and I don't know if the other persons from the other industries will have anything different to say, but my research tells me that educational institutions are the ones that sustain the most attempts at hacks on a daily basis. I don't want to tell you how many times the attempts are made at Arden on a daily basis. Yes, we have quite a bit of information for a large cross-section of the world's population. Whether you're global north or south, we have it. I'm not speaking at Arden now, I'm speaking educational institutions, and people really want to get at our databases. So every time now you go into one of these artificial intelligence tools, and I did a quick search before I came down this afternoon, and there are tools that are being listed as AI tools, but I wasn't categorizing them as AI tools. And we are putting a lot of our information in these spaces and not realizing that the information is being gathered. We have our data protection laws in Jamaica now. We're learning as we go along, and we're really going to have to take it very seriously, because every time you go online, you expose yourself. So that's one of the things that we're thinking about. When our young people get too caught up with just using the technology, and in particular AI, we are seeing emotional issues. They have students, sometimes they become withdrawn. Students who are prone, or let me not say students, people who are prone to having withdrawal type emotional issues, it exacerbates it, and they become more affected, and we are seeing where there are challenges there, and that is something that we talk to our parents about quite a bit. Then the other thing that we're looking at as well is equity and accessibility. You can access the technology at Arden for a number of reasons. We do have a very good network system. We have like about 99% coverage on the campus. We do have additional devices that, that we can loan to students. But we're very aware that when they leave Arden, they may not be able to have that same kind of access. And that, of course, is, when you go to other areas, when you go to other schools where the resources are less, you will have that challenge. And I don't know if I'll get into trouble for saying this, but the internet access that is provided by the government, as you know, it is limited and it is not always stable. So there is the equity and the accessibility issue. Then there's job displacement. That never worries me. Not any more than I have to plan how to replace. It really never worries me, because the jobs are going to shift to other places. It may take a little time, and people don't like change, but it is what it is. Once, as we progress through the different modes of production and productivity and the various ways in which industries evolve, new jobs emerge. I am not concerned when I ask my students what it is you want to do 10 years from now, and they can't tell me concretely. Because the truth is, the jobs that they're going to be doing, we can't imagine that job. And I like to talk about H.G., I think it's Wells, the time traveler, the time machine. He goes away in the time machine, he comes back and he tells us what is happening. And this is way before my time, it was written. And he goes again in the time machine and he doesn't come back. My interpretation as a student of literature is that he can't tell us what the future really holds. And that's a message that we're getting there. And we are in that same space right now. Literature is the best subject. Of course, there are the ethical considerations, right? The students who cheat. When is it that you're infringing copyright? When is it can you really quote? Can you really, it's not quote, reference. Can you really reference ChatGPT? Whose work is it that ChatGPT is giving to you? And what about when ChatGPT gives you a reference that does not exist? There are all of those ethical considerations. There are ethical considerations for the students my lovely students who thought we weren't watching them in the V space. We actually had one student, I don't know how she got the connection. She stayed home and did the exam from home. So all kinds of stuff that we have to think about when we look at how we use AI. So there are, of course, the legal and ethical considerations, and pretty much those are the conversations we're having. Just one other thing I'd like to add as well. We have a lot of policies that are personalized according to the school that you're in. Not every school will need a policy for certain things and will not have certain things in their policies. That's one of the things we're actually working on now. How do we adjust our assessment policy to include, we had technology in it before, but technology has taken another leap. So how do we do that? In our handbook, have we covered cheating? Have we covered all of the devices that we need to cover in our technology policy, in our BYOD policy? As a matter of fact, what it's beginning to look like is that several of those policies that we had that were standing in silos, we may now very well have to merge them because of how integrated and joined up everything is becoming. I hope that was good for a starter. Thank you.